guys? EJ here, back with another video. And today it's going to be one of my top 10 lists from the 90s, my top 10 films of 1992. But before I get started, I must apologize for the fact that I haven't done one of these videos in a while. It must be several weeks since I did my top 10 films of 1991. So I do promise I'm going to try and keep on track doing these videos each week like I promised when I started doing this series a few months ago. So yeah, today it's going to be my top 10 films of 1992. An interesting year because my good friend Scott Cineram, my buddy and cohort from the movie Reviewers 100, 1992 is one of his favorite years of film. A while back he did a great video discussing all the films he likes from 1992. It's a really good video. I'll try and find it and post a link to it because it's really good. You should check that out. And of course, anything Scott does is always great, and especially when he talks about something he really cares about, like a great year for film like 1992. So let's get started. Counting down from number 10 as always. Up first we have Glengarry, Glen Ross, directed by James Foley. Written by David Mamet, of course, a great writer, based on his play. Brilliant cast of actors: Al Pacino, Alec Baldwin, Jack Lemmon, Kevin Spacey, Alan Arkin. Just a great film, of course, about the real estate world. Always be closing. Alec Baldwin has some of the best lines of any movie that came out in the 90s in this film. One of his best performances, in fact. I really love Alec Baldwin in this. Ed Harris, great as well, another great actor. Just a great cast and really good dialogue. Just a really good film. Okay, number 9, one of my favorite action movies of the 90s, and that's Under Siege. Of course, starring Steven Seagal as Casey Ryback, the former Navy SEAL turned cook aboard a U.S. battleship that gets taken over by a now rogue CIA operative played by the great Tommy Lee Jones. With the help of the battleship's executive officer, Gary Busey. Yeah, just a really great action film, loads of great action scenes. Definitely my favorite Seagal film. I love Erica Laniak when she pops out of the cake topless doing her dance. The Playboy bunny who's brought on board for the captain's party. And she and Seagal basically have to team up to take down the terrorists. Just a great film. Yeah, my favorite Seagal movie and one of my favorite action movies of all time. Okay, number 8. We have Romper Stomper, directed by Jeffrey Wright. A great Australian film, of course, starring Russell Crowe, about Australian skinheads and racism towards, I believe it's Filipinos. Some sort of Asian minority in Australia. Really gritty and tough film. Russell Crowe is a badass, as the leader of this gang of skinheads. I heard about this film after, of course, Gladiator came out. I seeked it out, watched it. It's a great film, much like American History X, I'd say. Just a really good film, really strong performance by Russell Crowe in his early days before he sort of became famous. In films like LA Confidential and Gladiator and so on. Okay, number 7, another film about racism, basically. Well, it's about anti-Semitism. Great film from 1992, and that's School Ties, directed by Robert Mendel, starring Brendan Fraser as sort of a star quarterback who gets brought to this Catholic prep school to play football, and of course he's Jewish. And he's met with anti-Semitism by all his classmates and roommates. David O'Donnell, Chris O'Donnell, sorry, I don't know who David O'Donnell is. Chris O'Donnell sort of befriends him, even though he's sort of part of that same group. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in this film, of course, and they're very heavily featured on the cover now. But of course, when they made this film, they weren't really stars at all. Matt Damon's sort of the baddie of the movie. Just a great film. I've always loved it. School Ties at number 7. Okay, number 6. We have The Crying Game, directed by Neil Jordan. Great film starring Stephen Ray and Miranda Richardson, who play Irish terrorists from the IRA who kidnap a British soldier, played by the great Forrest Whitaker. Really good film, very dark and mysterious. The second half of the film is sort of famous for the turn it takes with the exotic girlfriend. Very weird when you first see it, but a great sort of mystery thriller. Yeah, great film, The Crying Game. Okay, number five, one of Spike Lee's best films, and that's Malcolm X, of course, starring Denzel Washington as the notorious civil rights leader. Angela Bassett, very good in this as well. Delroy Lindo, very good cast. Probably definitely one of Spike Lee's best films. Denzel, of course, won Best Actor for his portrayal of Malcolm X. Really good film. Sort of very epic biography of a great man. Malcolm X, number five. Okay, number four, also related to Scott in a way, because it's his favorite Tarantino film, and it has to be on this list. And that's Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs. Sorry, can't really talk today. I don't know why. Of course, great heist film. Just sort of announced Tarantino as the writer and director that he still is. Brilliant cast: Harvey Keitel, Tim Roth, Michael Madsen, Steve Buscemi, and of course Scott did this for Steve Buscemi Week, which we just did a couple weeks ago on the Movie Reviewers 100. So I might as well put a link to his review of Reservoir Dogs in the description down below as well. Probably my I'd rank this in my top five Tarantino films. Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Inglourious Basterds, and Kill Bill 1 and 2 I'd probably put slightly ahead of this, but yeah, definitely one of Tarantino's best. Okay, number three, we have Scent of a Woman, directed by Martin Brest, again starring Al Pacino. Great year for him. Why did I say Denzel won for Malcolm X? I don't know why I said that. Al Pacino, of course, won for this film. Best actor is a retired and blind lieutenant colonel who hires an assistant played by Chris O'Donnell. Got his name right this time, to sort of take him out for the weekend for one sort of final fling, drive fast cars, pick up women. I believe it's Julia Ormond. Just a really great film. I love the performances by Pacino and O'Donnell. Yeah, just a really great film. I'm not going to do the famous line that he does throughout the film, which sort of became sort of the trademark Pacino persona since this film came out, obviously. But before this, he made so many great films, so many great performances, and this was sort of make up for all the years he didn't win Best Actor. Okay, number two. Yeah, just a great film. One of my favorite Robert Altman films, The Player. Just a great movie starring Tim Robbins, Greta Scacchi, Whoopi Goldberg, and Fred Ward. Of course, about the movie business. Tim Robbins plays a movie exec, starts getting death threats from a writer, sort of drives into murder, and it's just a great, brilliant film by Altman. His trademark style, the opening sort of long shot, just brilliant. Love Altman's style, and this is probably one of my favorite films by him. Always been a big fan of Tim Robbins, and this is a great film about the movie business. Obviously, The Player from 1992. Okay, number one, it had to be my second favorite Western of all time, and that is, of course, Unforgiven. Directed by Clint Eastwood, and of course starring himself, Morgan Freeman, Gene Hackman. Just a brilliant Western story of revenge. An old gunslinger hired to sort of settle the score after a prostitute gets her face messed up. Deserves, got nothing to do with it. Just a brilliant film. Sort of the film that sort of announced, in my opinion, Eastwood as a bona fide great director. Of course, he won Best Director as well that year, along with Best Picture, Unforgiven #1. So that is my top 10 films of 1992. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week I'll be bringing you my top 10 films of 1993. So until then, thank you for watching as always, and I'll see ya.
Bond. James Bond.